became popular in countries such as India, emphasizing the government's control over currency flow, which became the mainstream opinion in academia, and most mathematicians were still advocating for free currency floating before this. At the same time, discussions about the financial explosion in China are also on the rise, with the mainstream view that China is at the center of the vortex and has a high probability of crisis. They are worried that China will be blown up and then destroyed. In fact, the current situation of China's finance is more aptly described as the financial explosion because it represents a long-awaited energy, and the process of ultimately entering the financial explosion can be controlled by the government. In the absence of a sound financial system in China, relevant departments will not easily loosen financial regulations. As a result, China's financial civilization will transition from the financial explosion to a controlled explosion. From the perspective of Chinese reality, industrial civilization and agricultural civilization are still ongoing, and information civilization is beginning to emerge. The financial industry, on the other hand, belongs to the model of strict national regulation and a conservative approach. At this moment, entering the financial civilization still requires several hurdles. The first is the effective grafting of financial civilization with industrial civilization, agricultural civilization, and information civilization. As China's economic development mainly depends on backward state-owned enterprises, the traditional economy civilization dominated by these state-owned enterprises is likely to be magnified in the financial civilization, and finally destroyed by the financial civilization. Once the country liberalized the private economy and the innovation vitality of the whole society, it is likely to enter a benign interaction state of the four civilizations. The second is the level of understanding of the game rules of financial civilization by relevant parties, and the degree of subversion of the wisdom of industrial civilization. For example, many experts believe that the phenomenon of nationwide stock trading is abnormal and a signal of the stock market reaching its peak, while officials from the State-Owned Assets Supervision and Administration Commission believe that nationwide stock trading is a great thing due to our limited knowledge. It is difficult to grasp it clearly within a limited time frame, regardless of the purpose for which this statement is made. At least it indicates that the management still allows room for discussion on new phenomena, rather than blindly denying them. China's hybrid finance effectively balances tolerance and control, and may dominate the next wave of financial civilization. The knowledge contrast of four economic civilizations' lack of understanding of various economic phenomena, especially the abnormal operation in the financial field, has led to a lack of understanding of human knowledge systems. Reflection on the accumulation of human knowledge corresponds to the process of human civilization. While existing knowledge still remains in the summary and inference of past economic civilizations, so it is necessary to sort out human economic civilization and deduce the emergence and characteristics of new civilizations. The process of Economic civilization is accompanied by the evolution of industries, and the earliest industry that emerged in humanity is agriculture. Animal husbandry predates agriculture industry, but animal husbandry has not been widely promoted. In a broad sense, animal husbandry belongs to agriculture, which corresponds to agricultural civilization. The basic elements of agricultural civilization are land and labor. Labor is the father of wealth and land is the mother of wealth. Other forms of industry such as handicrafts, commerce, religion, and service industries are subordinate and even considered to not create value. The understanding of wealth is very singular, and the purpose of competition between people and countries is primitive wealth. Without different values competing with each other, conflicts caused by religion do not fall within the scope of economic civilization discussed in this article. Agricultural civilization has lasted for thousands of years, and its knowledge can be effective for thousands of years. It is reasonable to say that half of the analects of Confucius has conquered the world. The rapid advancement of the Industrial Revolution has brought humanity into a new civilization system, namely the stage of industrial civilization. Industrial civilization is fundamentally different from agricultural civilization. The basic elements of industrial civilization are capital and value, which are exchanged for the purpose of production. The general equivalent of exchange is currency, early gold and silver coins, later paper currency. After the emergence of paper money, the currency form expanded, and inflation became the social and economic partner. Humanity has in a deeper understanding of wealth. There have also been huge differences in understanding, with one faction starting from human labor, holding high the banner of labor value, and deriving surplus value is defined as labor value. Wealth, Ricardo's value theory, Marx's labor axiology, Lenin's and Stalin's socialism theory. The other school directly launches from rising to a high point. The total market value of listed companies in the Shanghai and Shenzhen stock markets has experienced a fission growth, reaching trillion yuan, of which the market value of A shares is trillion yuan, becoming the largest emerging market and the fourth largest securities market in the world. The securitization rate of China's economy has continuously crossed the threshold of percent from percent a year ago, which is comparable to the level of the international mature market. A number of aircraft carriers, such as PetroChina, China Shenhua, China Co-Construction Bank, China Railway Group Limited, have achieved securitization through the issuance of new shares through IPO. A number of central armies, such as China Shipbuilding, Xi'an Aircraft International and Dongfeng Electric Machinery, have realized securitization through overall listing. A large number of national team companies such as NFC, CNOOC and Huadian Energy have realized securitization through interests of people be respected, rather than being a broad concept. The difficulty of transforming this concept lies in encountering the resistance of traditional ideology and the covert boycott of vested interest groups. Another prerequisite is the upgrade of the governance concept. That is, the upgrade of the version of making decisions for the people, which is undertaken by everyone, upgrading from limited liability to a limited and bounded management model that leads social rules and maintains their fair execution. Previously, the direct participation of the state in the operation of the economy inevitably led to self-interest, resulting in impure motives for the state. However, when the state is above economic interests and only serves as the creator and maintainer of the system, the transformation of its role creates a natural demand for the principles of fairness and justice. The controversial labor contract law, to some extent, is a manifestation of the shift in national motivation from favoring enterprises to providing universal coverage for the interests of workers. It is a transition from a focus on efficiency first to a balance between fairness. Despite its poor timing, it is still a landmark milestone, because the more a few people resist, the more they can reflect that it actually represents the interests of the majority and touches the pain points of interest groups. At present, it is the ministry of power that undermines the principles of fairness and justice, distorts the state's motives seriously, and causes even greater public discontent. The phenomenon of door-oriented, departmental interest-oriented, and interest group-oriented. Many authorities use the name of the state to harm the people and enrich the private sector, and practice monopoly under the guise of maintaining fairness and justice. This distorts the essence and core of the national political system, which means that the state represents the interests of the entire society and the nation, and implements its representation through various state machines. However, in reality, various state machines become representatives of the state and fulfill the interests of their own departments in the process of representation. This deviation is the source of social contradictions at this stage. The real reason for the large-scale mass incident in Wengan County, Guangzhou, is that the government has repeatedly violated the interests of the masses in mineral resources development, resettlement, building demolition and other work, and in the process of handling conflicts, disputes and mass incidents. Some cadres have a rough style, simple working methods and random use of police force. Although the stock market was in a mess in the first half of the year, there were still over billion yuan in stamp duty receipts, and local state-owned asset management. The ultimate goal of the $1 rescue fund operation is to attract enterprises and leverage more private capital and social resources to join in the reconstruction of market order and confidence. This means that the problems caused by the greed of many players on Wall Street will ultimately be solved together by these players. As for the possible changes, whether it is directly controlled by the government, serving as both a judge and an athlete, or investing in private capital, investing in non-performing assets, the government's return from the front to the back means that it is difficult for the government to stand on the opposite side of private capital or market players. Mixed operation and joint cooperation may become new features of the next stage of the financial market. From the trend of mixed operation between commercial banks and investment banks, it can be seen that commercial banks have not been spared this time, with the support of investment banks and hedge funds, improperly taking on the risk of excessive home buyers and the excessive debt of investment banks themselves supported by credit products. The combinatio of the two may lead to further deterioration of the problem. Therefore, after the dust settles, after a period of repair, commercial banks are likely to repackage and sell their investment banking business, and the investment banking model will obviously not end. However, the transparency and leverage ratio of its derivative trading, including executives, will be strictly required and restricted. In fact, entering the financial civilization, the existence and reproduction of financial innovation and financial derivatives has become an important economic approach, which undoubtedly has a gambling nature, is inherently guilty of surplus liquidation. Therefore, this requires innovation in trading methods to adapt to the development of derivatives. In fact, the financial crisis is causing the global financial market to fall into painful reflection, making the United States and other countries, including the United States, face the challenge of the Washington Consensus. Although the major countries in the world have coordinated their actions to cut interest rates and inject capital, it is not difficult to imagine that after the crisis, the opening of the financial field of all countries will be cautious and explore the development path of the virtual financial market for the battlefield. In the short term, financial civilization has stagnated, but in the long run, with the recovery of investment banks, confusion between governments and financial institutions, especially the weakening of Wall Street's financial power center, which once dominated the game rules, and a decrease in trust, the international financial derivatives market will eventually become a large